So talking about Lewis, and this is a question really that I'm intrigued about. He's leaving Mercedes and going to Ferrari. Will he like it there? Will it suit him? What are his biggest challenges there? And how do you think he would go about it? I know there's a whole lot of questions, but maybe you could answer them in terms of should he bring his own people there, just like what Michael did in the past? And Felipe Massa brought you. So is there something that you can advise him?
I think he'll love it there. He is a very he's a driver that needs the team to be very much behind him and supporting him, and I think he will love it. I think that the tifosi, the Ferrari fans, they are unique in the world as to how passionate they are. You know, I mean, you've got Williams fans or Jordan fans or Mercedes fans, but they don't really they just don't reach that same level of passionate and almost fanatical obsession with the Ferrari team. The Ferrari team, when you're there, you feel like you're part of the national team. That's what it is, right? So you get, when you win, they treat you very nicely, and you never have to pay in any restaurants, which you can imagine for me was my favourite part of the whole experience. But the reality is that when you don't do very well, they're also very clear with you about that you're not their favourite person. But I think when you win them over, as somebody like Michael Schumacher did, you are a god. And I think that will give Lewis the little bit of motivation that perhaps he needs. And I think it will be a two-way reciprocal thing, because I think that Lewis can elevate the team that final few percent. And that's all it ever needs, right? I mean, if you look at Red Bull when it was struggling, or Mercedes when it was struggling, Ferrari, just before we started to win all those championships, it's got all the right ingredients. It just needs that final few percent to elevate it, which Lewis can do. He can bring that final few percent to just quicken everybody's pace just that tiny bit. That's all you need, and then and turn them into a winning machine. So he's going there. He wants to win his 8th world championship. He could actually. It's don't shoot me, but it's fairly unlikely that he will go there as 8 times world champion. But definitely, it is a very good opportunity for him and for the team. So good luck to him.
Rob, the other questions was, should Lewis bring you back there as one of his background team? And because we all know that support comes in many different ways. And I do believe he's going to take a couple of people from Mercedes with him. Could you be encouraged to go back to Ferrari, or is that just you've done it and you're passing it by?
Long way, isn't it, from that commute Oxford to Maranello? I would not deign to mention myself in this conversation. But should Lewis bring people back there? Should he take them there? Sorry. I think you have to be a little bit careful with that game, because it's a game where either you are rebuilding from the ground up, which is what happened in the mid-90s in Ferrari. And when Michael brought Ross and Rory Byrne, so they were that was a ground up building exercise. I'm not sure that Ferrari are actually there. Now, would he bring his engineer, Pete? He might do, he needs, if he needs somebody that he feels close to, that, somebody can translate what his language as a driver is into engineering, that could work. If Pete wants to do it, he might have his eye on other people, but I do think that you have to be a little bit careful with kind of following your driver about, and then becoming part of the driver's team rather than part of the team. The team is always the most important bit here. So I don't know. Let's see. Time and money will talk, I guess.
The thing then I'm going to ask you, Rob, and that is, obviously you look as if you're enjoying life and you're enjoying life away from motor racing. But nevertheless, is there something in motor racing that you would still like to achieve, or is there something that you feel that is part of your bucket list that you haven't quite, it's unfinished business, so to speak?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've said this before. I'm lucky that I still get offers to go and work in Formula One. I think for me, I'll never say never, but it has to be the right offer with the right team. If I go back into Formula One, it has to be with a group of people who are totally committed to winning, and they have to demonstrate that they are totally committed to winning. There's enough projects and basket cases and all the rest of it that if I go back into Formula One now, then I need to. As I said, it needs to be the right position, but the team has to have the backing and the wherewithal and another, a great group of people there or on the horizon, joining, where every single Sunday afternoon or most Sunday afternoons you have a chance of winning. And that's all you can ever ask, right? You can't win all the races and you shouldn't expect to win all the races, but you should be able to, head towards a Grand Prix, get on a plane and fly for 12, 14, 24 hours in some cases and think, yeah, if we get everything right here, we can win it. We have just as good a chance as anybody else. So if I went back into Formula One, regardless of the position, it would need to be in that type of scenario, or at least building that type of situation. You might not be in a position to win today, but with all of the right moves and the right people and the right support from above, you can get yourself in a situation where you can win. So that's me.
Rob, just one final bit from me before DC takes the show out and talks to you more about other things. I've just got to ask you the thing. I see the sport at the moment and I'm a little bit lukewarm about some of the things that are happening. And I'd like to say to you, you've been out of it long enough, you've seen it at the top end. But, for example, I'd like your opinion on no rookies, no new teams, the engines sounding like a bucket of crap as far as I'm concerned. And the new technologies, it seems to be easier for the older drivers, and it's the no rookies that I have a real issue with. Just finally, before DC takes us out of here, could you please have your own opinion on those sort of things, please?
So I don't mind the sound of the engines, but I have somebody said to me, "Oh, you got to listen to this Bring Back V10s podcast," and it does take you back when I listen to all of that. And the sound of it, the sound for me of when I mentioned when my dad took me to the first Grand Prix, and this whole fucking visceral wall of sound hit me as I walked into Silverstone, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" With the old V10s and even V12s back then. And I think that is something that I miss. But again, I'm a personality that doesn't want to look back. So I don't mind the sound of these hybrids. I think they sound pretty cool. The no rookie thing is just a travesty, right? Like where we have good enough rookies, and it's just not great for the sport not to have them coming through. I think if you want to look more positively on that, I think we've got kids like Kimi Antonelli who'll be coming through in a few years, who are great talents. There's some others just behind him. Even in karting at the minute, and hopefully they can translate to cars. It doesn't always happen, but we should have some good talent coming through, and we need that, right? You need the rookies. They should be the lifeblood of drivers always coming through. Your third question, you see how I the photographic memory. The third question, Eddie, was about these cars being too easy to drive. I think was that how it was framed. I think there is a little bit of that, but I think again, you still got to look at these drivers as warriors, as gladiators. You look what Max Verstappen can do with the car. Max is one of those drivers that would transcend any age. If you'd have put him in a V10 from the 90s, or you'd have put him in something from the 60s, he'd have still driven the arse off it and still won in it. So you've still got some, and Lewis is a similar type of driver, winning machine. Super clinical, and we've got some good young drivers coming through as well. So I think, the cars are different. The cars sound different. They are different to drive, but it's still a great sport. There's still some really, really, great elements to it. So there you go.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, yeah, these quieter engines, yeah, they've definitely grown on me. But yeah, there's nothing quite like a screaming. If you go to a rock concert, you don't go there on a date, do you? You don't go there to have a conversation. You go there to be lost in the music, and that's what Formula One used to be.